All right, man. Welcome to the Extra Mile podcast. So, kind of a little bit about the idea is just going above and beyond for yourself, for your clients, just with everything that you do in life. You and I have had countless conversations regarding this idea. So, you were definitely a perfect guest. First guest was Dr. Drew, but just kind of like going the extra mile, that's like a first form core value. You probably know a little bit about that. One of my favorite ones, other than like kind of goes a little bit along with like one of my other favorites of leading by example. But if you had to think about those two types of things, going the extra mile, even leading by example, what do those types of things mean to you personally and professionally?
Yeah, I mean, being a trainer, working with clients and trying to help them get more fit and in shape, not just for aesthetic purposes, but so they can, get the most out of their life with being able to do, as much variety of physical movements as possible, right? Whether that's just like, all right, I'm just doing my day-to-day chores or things like that, or if I'm playing with my kids or being able to pick up your kids, like stuff like that, know that their bodies are going to be able to handle the adversity of life for the long run. Because, there's going to be a lot of physical challenges that come along the way that, I think a lot of times people get in the habit of being like, oh, I'm just getting old and that's why this aches or that hurts or I can't do what I used to, when in actuality they're not taking care of it. When I think about all those things I'm trying to help for other people, if I'm not doing the stuff myself, right? If I'm not doing things on a daily basis that's going to make me healthier, stronger, get more out of my body in the long run, then how does what I'm trying to get across to them carry any weight?
Yeah.
Like, why would anybody listen to me then, right? When they could just, like, if I just read all this stuff in a book somewhere, right? Or listen to somebody else talk about it, I'm like, oh, those are good ideas.
Then why? That,
yeah, like what? It doesn't mean anything if I'm not, because it's also, if you're not leading by example, when somebody's going through certain and if I'm taking somebody through a strength training program and they're talking about what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, I'm gonna know the different nuances of when do we need to progress, what's normal, when do we need to take a step back, how are things kind of playing out.
Yeah.
Versus somebody who doesn't know what it's like to actually push themselves and getting strong, of like lifting more weights or doing certain movements. They're not going to understand those nuances. And it doesn't, I'm not the most fit guy. I'm not the strongest guy. But again, I think it's important to be like leading by example. First and foremost, to have like, so that way, at least if nothing else, I know my clients can trust that like I'm right there with them. I'm doing the thing that I said that they should do, right? And it's just, because at the end of the day, the whole reason most of us got started in this with fitness is we all wanted to be a better version of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what everybody gravitated towards in one way, shape, or form, whether that was like look better, get stronger, whatever. You wanted to become someone who you thought you could be,
but you weren't there at that time.
Yeah, I wasn't there at that time, and so I'm helping others now do that.
Yeah.
And it's just all like we kind of all feed off it together. Like this isn't just me telling somebody what to do. This is us all growing together as a whole.
Yeah. How would you, I guess, to kind of talk about that extra mile portion, what is like going the extra mile, or like, what does that look like if you're doing that for yourself or your clients?
I think that means that you don't just stop at like good enough, right? Like I was having a conversation with my client this morning about it, of like why a lot of people are not like fit, or not necessarily why, but like part of the thing is like people if you look at the average person, fitness health wise, and you compare yourself to that, it's like the standard's pretty low of like what it takes to be better than average.
Yeah.
But if you're comparing yourself to like me at my CrossFit gym and other fit friends that I have, or you know, high level fit people that I'm trying to be like, if I'm comparing myself to that standard, well, that's going to require a bit more out of me, right? That's going to be that going the extra mile of not just being, oh, what's good enough, but what's going to take me to be like closer to the best possible version I could be, right?
Yeah.
And that means that there's going to be times where, yeah, you're going to want to stop in the middle of a workout and you're like, well, I'm still going to keep going. There's going to be times when you're like, oh, I'm tired today and I'd rather just skip it and rest. And you do it anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's not necessarily like going. I think a lot of times people hear like something like that, like going the extra miles, and they might think of like David Goggins type stuff of like, I'm gonna go run 10 miles a day or something, do something crazy. And it's like, it's not necessarily that. It's like literally doing like just taking one more step forward than probably what you normally would, and then all those extra little things add up in the long run, right?
Yeah, like the compound effect or the slight edge, if you've heard of those books, similar idea.
Yeah.
People in finance talk about compounding interest, or same idea with your body. And I think with relationships, like you're talking about your coach-client relationships, how do you see, what are your thoughts then on, so say that your people see you doing that, you know, they know that you're fit, or they think you're fit, say that do you think that it has or carries weight for them to, because you could talk about it all day long, do you think that it carries weight for them to actually say through social media or knowing that you have, like, you actually signed up for a contest and followed through with it, those types of things, do you think that that carries any additional weight in the leading by example and extra mile types of standards and core values?
I mean, I can't say for certain, right? Because I'm not in their head.
Yeah.
But I like to think that it does. I think if nothing else, it gives me more purpose in what I'm doing.
Okay.
Right? So, and like me more connection to, again, that idea that I'm trying to represent. Like, especially nowadays, like now that information is everywhere, you see, you know, these profiles and things popping up that like someone very clearly just like, you know, asked ChatGPT a bunch of stuff and now they're just like regurgitating it in videos and like, oh, I can help you build a business, but you haven't built a business, right? Like,
Yeah.
all these people trying to like coach others in things that they haven't done before. And maybe that person, you know, eventually through those tactics, maybe they're able to build a business and get to be the person they say they want to be, but I'm not going to trust them. And I wouldn't expect somebody who's looking for a trainer, looking for a coach to trust me if I wasn't doing those things. And I also think too of like we're around more fit people in the environments that we're in. So again, like going back to like that standard that we hold of what we think is fit is a lot higher than what the average person is. Like if I think of like, all right, what's a good mile time?
Yeah.
Like the average person might just be like, well, just running a mile is good enough. And me, I'm like, if I'm not running low sixes at least, like that's terrible. Right? I squatted 390 yesterday, which is good for me, but I'm like, I know guys who squat, like there's multiple guys at the gym that squatted like over 400 pounds easily.
Yeah.
And so if you're like me presenting to them like I'm doing competitions, these are like my fitness levels, whatever, and then also trying to tell them the story of I wasn't always this way. When I was a kid, I wasn't the best athlete. Like I had to work very hard just to get an average level of fitness in my eyes.
Yeah.
and to show them of like basically like what's possible. Like you don't have to be like this genetically gifted, freak to do these things. And I can be that one person for them that shows them, like if like there's nobody else in my family that's like close to like my level of fitness. And so I'm like the one example that they have to see of like, oh, this is like what's possible. This is what like really good fitness looks like. So for my clients, me sharing with them the stuff that I'm doing and them seeing my progress, like I get to be like that example that shows them like what's possible.
I'm gonna go get your sister.
So yeah, I mean that's basically kind of how I think about it, is like if nothing else, they're not getting these sort of ideas anywhere else in their life.
Yeah.
So if I can tell them like, hey, I'm doing this competition, this is what I'm working towards, these are the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because their Instagram feed is not showing them what mine's showing me.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And so they don't until like anything, like until you read that book that opened your eyes to like a different way of thinking, you didn't know what you didn't know.
Yeah. So just like a different perspective in a way. I think too, so a point you made, which I never even thought about, was I had a conversation with somebody the other day about how, yes, I played Division II football, but I think honestly after I finished college, my athleticism kind of jumped and got a little bit better. Maybe you feel the same way at times where like you played high school football, right? Do you like, just an easy little quick question, but it'll lead into kind of where I was going. Do you feel like you've gotten better as time has progressed in terms of whatever thing you're doing?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I rode the bench on the high school football team.
Yeah.
Like my junior year, we went 0-11, and I only played in games when the blowout just got like, we were down by like, it's fourth quarter, we were down by 4 or 5 scores, which was pretty regular. But like still, like it's not like I wasn't getting playing time. So now I'm stronger than I was then, but I also like move better, and I feel quicker and more agile in certain ways.
You've been doing a lot of things to be more athletic.
Yeah, more reactive, and part of that is just like knowing what I know now, and the training I've exposed myself to is different than them.
Yeah. Well, the comment you made, which I never really thought about before, was like you talk about what the used to version of TJ or the former version of TJ and where that was, and how you've constantly you've done something to level up, whether it's with knowledge, weightlifting, CrossFit, whatever it is. Your stories are more, I would say, aspirational in a way, because it's here's who TJ was, but here's who I am now because of the things that I implemented, and that's what you're trying to teach your clients. It's not a constant story of used to, and the used to thing was the better thing.
Yeah.
It's that you're doing things now, which is what you're trying to instill in your clients, that it's never too late. It's kind of a ever learning, ever growing, ever better process, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to be like, if I can just get to this phase, this step, whatever, like everything's going to fall into place, and you think there's but there's no final destination. Yeah. Right. It's like it's a never-ending journey, but that never-ending journey means that you continually like keep leveling up. I mean, you go through the dips where things get harder and maybe overwhelming at times because you're doing more stuff that you're not comfortable with, and it's frustrating. But then eventually you hit that kind of apex where you hit your stride. And yeah, if you want to keep growing, then the opportunity is there. yeah, when I think about like what I used to be able, it's if you would have like looked at that football team, right, and tried to select who do you think is going to be, like I'm 34, who's going to be the most fit
Sure.
at 34?
Yeah.
I'm not the first one picked. I'm not in the first half picked, probably.
Yeah.
Right? But I look at, like, I see some of those guys on Facebook, whatever, and I see them now, and I'm like, they're not. They were studs in high school, and, you know, I don't want to, like, shame them or anything, but, like, you know, I can see, like, they haven't taken care of their bodies. And I'm not saying they should be doing the same stuff that I'm doing, but, like, if they would have just maintained, some of them would be as fit as me if they, like, because they started at such a higher level.
And then it was
but yeah, like you're saying, like, as being an example of, like, yeah, like, it doesn't really matter where you're starting at. It just kind of matters that you start and you don't stop.
Yeah.
Because it's the stopping and the starting and all that we see with people all the time.
Yeah.
And like going back to, like, it's those little things, the little extra miles that add up over time.
Yeah.
Versus the people that try to make the big push at the start of the year and then they're done in a month or less. Right? So it's like, versus if you just keep doing a little bit consistently, and then maybe every once in a while when you're feeling good, you push really hard, and you get a little extra boost. But
I guess, and then the question kind of came because I would say a lot of our clients right now are maybe hitting their stride in life, even if they are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever age, because I look at a lot of clients and it's like, well, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but this is probably, maybe I'll use my person that came into my head was Brooklyn's mom, my mother-in-law, where she was like pretty solid athlete in high school, right? Or you started talking about your teammates, and I think back to like guys that I not necessarily even played with, some that I played with, some that I played against and stayed friends with after they didn't play in college. I did, which was honestly very surprising that a lot of them didn't, just because of their caliber in high school. But it's like, I think we're seeing that we're helping a lot of people who they've kind of gotten to a point in their life where they're like, I want to be more fit. I want to have more muscle. I want to be more athletic. I want to be something that I've never been before. Where there are a lot of people out there too who I wish that I could kind of trigger some of those people through, whether it's online or whatever. It's like, well, I used to be that guy in high school. I used to be that girl in high school. Well, now you're got a beer belly, or you know, hate your life, whatever. Like, that might be an extreme, but those are like, that's kind of where my head went to. You know, my mother-in-law, she hurt her knee, so she, and that's, a lot of people use that.
Right.
She was out there looking like a all-star pickleball player this past weekend. Like, she never stopped moving ever.
Yeah.
But, you know, she has moved less. She doesn't love that. But I think a lot of people don't think about that. And the sad part is they might get to a stage in life, and that's why I continue moving too, is like, well, I don't want to be the person that can barely get up and down off the chair.
Yeah.
You know, everything hurts all the time.
Yeah, I mean, well, people get caught up in their, you know, school, work, kids, family, like the responsibilities, and they're not necessarily thinking of like that, of like down the road. All they're thinking about is like, well, I gotta do these things. This is the most important thing, and they are important. I'm not saying they're not.
Right.
Versus like us, like we just decided for whatever reason. For me, it was just like working out was the one thing that I loved more than anything else. where I felt the most like myself every single time that I did it. And I was like, once I started, I didn't want to stop. And that made it easy for me to prioritize. So I was like, once I had that, I was like, I don't care what's going on in my life. Like, this is a non-negotiable. And it wasn't even necessarily about health at the time. Now it's more about that. But so other people, you know, they, again, have those responsibilities and things pop up, and they're not thinking about the long term. Yeah. They're also not even being cognizant of that, the gradual decline, right? Because it's like they start off, I'm an athlete, I can do things, and then they, like you said, they start moving less, doing less things that test that athleticism, moving in different directions, having to move quickly. Like, once you get out of high school, when do you ever sprint?
Yeah.
You know, like you're playing sports with friends or, you know, playing around, whatever, gym class. And then after that, from 18 on, people don't sprint again until, let's say, they have kids, and then their little 5-year-old's like, let's race, Dad. And then you go to take off, and then your hammy goes, right? Or you decide, oh, I'm going to join a beer league softball team. I'll be fine. I was an athlete in high school. And then, you know, you throw out your shoulder because you didn't realize, like, they weren't aware of, like, that decline and weren't doing things to prevent it. And it's really just like a lack of awareness,
right?
Because their brains just aren't thinking of those things because of those other responsibilities. And kind of like with what we do, like, I want to make more people aware of this stuff and how important of like having the end in mind. What do you want those later years to look like? Because I've seen plenty of examples of people, like, you watch them and they just, those last, not even years, like a couple decades can be rough.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to spend, like, what's the point in working hard? You know, you're a businessman, entrepreneur, whatever. You work hard to build up all this wealth and freedom, to then you can't do anything with it. You're in pain all the time. You feel miserable. You're getting sick. And I don't want people to be like that. I want to, like, have these conversations with clients, with other people, with family, with friends, so they're aware of, like, hey, like, it doesn't have to be this way. Like, there's plenty of examples of people who are living into those later years who have taken care of themselves. And it doesn't mean that they were doing ridiculous things all the time. They just got in a routine. They made it a non-negotiable. They devoted, I mean, like, if you think about it, like, how much time, if you're just trying to maintain a decent level of health and fitness, what do you know, 2.5 hours total, if you're, like, being intentional with your workouts, like, throughout the week, right? Like, yeah, like
over the course of a week.
Yeah, like 3 to 4 workouts, 2.5 hours total. I'm not saying that's going to be, like, everything all the time.
Individualized, like, what I would have said was, like, in as little as 20 to 30 minutes of intentional effort.
Yeah.
Even if it's like you're not lifting that day, you're just going on an intentional walk. That's not like you're, you know, that you're not letting your dog lead.
Yeah, like, it doesn't take as much, I think, as people think it does.
Yeah.
But you have to make time for it. You have to decide to get off the couch.
Brooklyn's thing was, save that time walking your dog. That's for your dog, right? Like, it's to keep your dog's life, whatever, better longevity for the dog. So what I was trying to say was, like, don't say, oh, I walked my dog, that was good enough. Like, be intentional about your movement. Go at a pace that challenges you a little bit.
Yeah, like, we're trying to cover X amount of distance in this 30-minute walk.
Or a heart rate zone or whatever it is.
And I think people, again, like, our idea of 20, 30 minutes of intentional is going to be different. Like, someone might be like, oh, I did some squats, I did some push-ups or something, maybe, I don't know. But, like, during that 20, 30 minutes, maybe they're resting for, like, half of it.
Yeah.
Right, we're talking about, like, you're keeping your heart rate elevated, you're pushing your muscles, you're moving from thing to thing, right? Like, you're getting something done with a purpose.
I think you also have to consider, like, everyone's level is different. So
right.
Doing a little bit more than they might have done the day before
Yeah.
or they did the week before, or everything's about progress, the compounding.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's another way to make
All
the
that
progress.
stuff.
It's like if you're
Yeah.
starting off and like, all right, we did X amount in this 30 minutes. Let's try to get a few more reps of each thing in the next
Yep.
30-minute workout.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, like it doesn't take as much as people think. I think they just don't push themselves hard enough, and I don't mean necessarily lifting the most amount of weight or running or pushing themselves until zone 5 on their cardio. I just mean like literally just like having dense
Yeah.
amount of volume in a short period of time. Doesn't have to be HIIT training or CrossFit, but just like, hey, like when we're working, we're working.
Yeah.
When we're resting, we're resting. Right? They're two different things.
Have you noticed from any clients, or have they talked to you about, because like Dr. Drew said this on the first episode, one thing he said was telling people, like, just start. Like, it's not too late. Start. You're going to be happy that you did, but also, like, every aspect of his life has improved since 2022 when him and I started working
Yeah.
together. Not because of me, but just because of
Feeling better and
yeah.
yeah.
He needed that push, and then he started to enjoy that push, and he started to enjoy working with a trainer. Not saying a trainer is mandatory, but movement should be
Yeah.
mandatory, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have
Do you have anybody that talks about that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I have a client who came to me initially, like, because he was dealing with back issues. And so we got that taken care of for the most part. I mean, not like for the most part, but like, you know, like got him moving better, feeling stronger. You know, he's squatting, doing deadlifts now, like all that good stuff. And he's somebody who's, you know, in his later 50s, never worked out before. But what was interesting though is like, you know, like when people come to us, a lot of times we're focused on like, all right, their fitness and whatever. And then like, you know, after a few months of working with him, he told me like how he was like noticing, like you're talking, like the other areas, like him having more energy, his mood being better, and him dealing with stress better. And then he, you know, opened up to me, tell me how he didn't realize like how before he started working out, like how like kind of depressed he actually was, and how he was like how like his physical what do you call it, not limitations, but like basically how he was feeling physically was affecting all the mental and even like at times like emotional side of stuff. And then, you know, having that contrast of now starting to feel better, it's like, oh crap, like I was, you know, kind of in not a great place. And if it wasn't for fitness, you know, who knows, like if he didn't make that decision to finally do something about it, who knows where that would have led for him, you know? Maybe things just start getting worse and worse mentally, and like, you know, other areas are affected. But it's like people focus on the aesthetic part of working out so much, right? All the ads and everybody, you know, I mean, it's all about like, you know, do this in 30 days and get, you know, lose X amount of weight and getting these results quickly, and that's great, but like I've looked pretty good at times. I've had, you know, pretty solid looking abs and been jacked and tan and, you know, for me. And honestly, that hasn't given me as much fulfillment and everything as just being strong and capable is. Right? Like the times when I've been able to move as well as possible, pain-free, and feel like like the most athletic I've been, and being able to know that I can step in the gym and anything I want to do, I can do.
Yeah.
I can step outside of the gym and anything I want to do, I can do. That's when I felt the best, right? Because that's the thing is like these people, it's that we're trying to help. It's like if you don't have your health, if you're in pain and discomfort constantly, like nothing else matters. Like that's the only thing you can focus on.
Yeah.
And so by getting somebody out of that, I mean, it just creates like it's just like it's the best analogy, but it's almost like if you're driving on the highway that's like just like congested, right? You have nowhere to go. It's frustrating. and then the lanes just open up, traffic clears out, and now it's just like, oh, I can breathe.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's a good transition into the next part. So, based on what I know, you have a pretty good, if not great, philosophy that physical and mental limitations holding someone back are usually connected to like something deeper, right? So, like when you have someone like your client you were talking about, they were obviously a high performing, capable, professional person, right?
Yeah.
But they were either using excuses, maybe telling themselves some sort of made up story in their own head about like how they were just like kind of settling until they learned maybe what they were truly capable of. Like what do you see a lot of those, or what are a lot of those conversations for you and your clients like when it comes to that type of thing, where the excuses you hear, I guess, would be a better way to put that. What are the excuses you hear, or what are some stories that you've heard from people about why they can't, why they can't move better, why they can't fit fitness in, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, a lot of it, I think, is just, it comes, like with most things, it's like your identity, like how you view yourself. If I view myself as, oh, I'm like, if I say things like, oh, well, I'm just out of shape. Oh, I can't do that. Like I can't squat because of my knees. I can't do this because of that. Like you're just creating like these boundaries and these limitations, and then what's like your mind and your body's just gonna follow. It's like you're telling it you can't do these things, so you think it's gonna magically just be able to do that? No. And so I mean that's a big thing I've been trying to like I've been thinking about a lot and trying to include more in conversations is, you know, show people like, hey, like with somebody who's like, especially when they don't have much workout experience, it's like, hey, you're a gym person now, right? Like, I know in your head you see as like a gym person is like a guy like me or you, right? Of like, oh, well, they look a certain way and they're like obsessed with it maybe, or super passionate about fitness. I'm like, no, just the fact that you work out consistently 3 times a week or whatever, you come in here to train with me, like you are now a gym person. You have to see yourself as not just so you start carrying around a gallon jug of water and a string or tea. No, it's that you see yourself as like somebody who prioritizes your fitness, right? Which means if you think about it in that way, then when you're tired, when responsibilities start showing up, like you're still going to find time for it. You're not just going to be like, oh, well, now I'm in a busy season of life and work and I'm just going to put fitness on the back end because...
You sure?
Huh?
It seems like the convenient thing to do.
Well, yeah. But going back to kind of like what I was talking about earlier with myself, like why it was so easy for me to prioritize it, because I was like, I love doing this thing. Like makes me feel like me. And not everybody's going to have that. But again, if you view, like if it's just like if somebody who's like, I love my kids, well, you're going to do anything for your kids. So you're like, I love my body and I want to take care of my body. You're going to try and work out. You're going to try and do go the extra mile.
Yeah.
To get the things done, right? You're going to wake up maybe a half hour early when you're on vacation just to get it done before you go out and hang out with the family.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you need to spend hours in the gym. It just means that you just take those little extra. So, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of their excuses boil down to that, is that they don't see themselves as like a fitness type of person, or they don't label themselves as somebody who values their fitness.
Yeah.
And so it's like I kind of like dealing with like those self-limiting beliefs, those identity things. Because I'm sure you've seen it with clients. Is like once they make that switch, like I don't know how Dr. Drew was before he started working with you, but like now, I mean, I've met him, I've talked to him. The dude loves working out. He like all he talks about I feel like when he like comes to work out at the gym is that like how great it is for him, right? And it's like he talks about how he used to be like such a bigger guy and everything, and it's like that's the shift that I'm talking about, is like where it becomes not just, oh yeah, this is just something I do, but it's a part of who you are, because everybody has a body, right? We all have the same, or we're all born for the most part with the same limbs, organs, functionalities,
The physiology.
right? Unless you're
Anatomy,
born with some
physiology.
sort of, ailment, but you get the point. So that means that inherently, like if you watch babies and toddlers, or not babies, but toddlers, right? They all squat. Every single one of them squats. And they have a perfect squat. Every single one of them, once they get walking, they try to go as fast as they can. They start to crawl as fast as they can. As soon as they can stand up, they're taking off. Like I have a 1.5-year-old nephew, and he's just, I mean, you can't take your eye off him because he'll be just gone.
Yeah.
So if we're born that way, that means everybody's like, that's fitness.
It's inherent, right?
That's, the fitness level of a toddler, but like that means everybody should have that as long as possible.
Or
like
I guess the word was innate is probably
innate.
innate, not inherent.
So that means like if you're starting that way, that's how you should probably finish life, or like keep as much of it as possible. Because as soon as you stop moving, what happens? People usually die, right? That's why when someone breaks a hip or has a big fall when they're in their 80s or whatever, like that's usually the last thing. And then they have, I can't remember the exact number, but there's usually like an average of they only have X amount of time after that because it crushes them mentally and they stop moving.
It's a lot of like, you look at Kelly and Juliet Starrett, like from their book, Built to Move, this like the revamp of his initial Supple Leopard book. The first thing they have you do is get back on the floor, right?
Yeah.
When Dan Fichter was here, first thing, like he starts a lot of his guys out belly down.
Yeah.
Crawling, whatever, we see Caleb do it. But you made a point, which is an easy transition. You were talking about like the brain kind of limiting the body just in terms of what we think about, right? Well, we've all kind of recently decided to dive into this neurological side of training. Me, more with like the rope flow stuff. You finally being able to go through square one, which you've wanted to go through for a while, the square one system. So with that idea of how the thoughts can limit the physical, like what about the other areas when it comes to neurological well-being, or just the brain and the limitations on the body? Like what have you learned recently, and like how, I guess, from people not moving, because that's like kind of the whole thing, like we're advocates for moving, right? The whole thing is like, even if it's so minimal, I think I talked about this in a video I did recently, like just rope flow, you can almost basically stand still, but it's so multifaceted and the benefits, it's crazy. But just like with people not moving, or like what you've learned recently, where I'm trying to go is the brain and those effects it can have on the rest of the body, whether it's being locked up, pain signaling, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, basically, when they told us, or when I learned this, it seems so obvious and like it should almost be common sense, but I guess people don't really. I didn't really think about it in this way until it was explained to me. But basically, it's like everything's binary as when it comes to like the nervous system. It's either this stimulus, this input is telling me I'm safe, or it's telling me there's a threat. And threat doesn't necessarily mean that like your life's in danger. It just means that you just more so. Another way to think about it is like, do I prefer this or do I not prefer this?
Okay.
Right? Is it allowing me to feel comfortable, or is it creating hesitation in my body? That's the easiest way to think about it.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, I mean, when you hear that, like, and you start thinking about, okay, like sitting here, there's dogs, you know, or it's outside. Like, I feel like consciously, I'm like, I'm pretty safe.
Yeah.
Right. But a threat is like, I'm not comfortable talking on camera and being on camera.
Sure.
Right. So I can feel it in my body, that little, I'm enjoying this, but it still is like creating that like hesitation of like, well, how do I look on camera?
Yeah,
How does my voice sound? Like
something
all those
else
things.
triggers in the back of your mind.
Right.
I mean, I feel it sometimes too. It's like, am I going to say the right thing, or like, am I going to stumble over my words, or then you just have to kind of not care. Or
and so if you're feeling that way, like, does that make me feel loose and like in a flow state? Not really, right? Where like, and another way to think about it is if you like get into fitness, let's say you're really good at squatting and you just feel comfortable squatting, great. But you don't trust your body to like jump. It's gonna be that same thing. I feel safe with this movement, I feel unsafe with this other movement. And then the nervous system's gonna create changes to deal with that input, right? It's gonna naturally try to protect you. And when it tries to protect you, and again, like this, or not again, but like this isn't like conscious. Like you're not sitting here thinking about what do I need to do to protect myself, because if you took that long with like a legitimate threat, you're going to be dead, you know, before anything happens.
Yeah.
So to try to protect you, basically what it's going to do is you're in a like kind of like fetal position, basically. Like this is the most protective thing for your organs and stuff. Or that's the way that I understand it or interpret it. Versus when you feel strong, like you're standing upright, you have better posture, right? Just think about somebody who walks in a room confidently versus somebody who's like unconfident, right? All these things present physically. And so if all this stuff is happening faster than we can like override it and even realize it's happening, like what do you think's happening then if I go into a workout, let's say I'm supposed to squat today, and then, I don't know, use box jumps and all that stuff, and I know that like I have a knee issue, or maybe I just think I have a knee issue. Maybe I don't actually have a knee issue. I just have been telling myself that story the whole time, which is a whole other thing. Is my body going to want to perform as best as possible if I have that thought already in my head, if I'm already telling myself, oh, well, I don't do good with this movement because of my knees? No. And it's probably, as you do that movement over and over again, it's probably just going to keep signaling to you, hey, we need to avoid this. Hey, we don't feel safe here. And pain's going to increase and all that. Whether or not you have an actual injury or not, if your nervous system is perceiving it as a threat because you're telling yourself it's a threat, then you're going to shy away from the thing. So a lot of like the neurological side is, you know, showing the body, showing the brain, nervous system, all that stuff that like, hey, we are safe doing this thing. If there's an actual tissue injury, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people, because they're already viewing themselves of just like, oh, well, I got hurt. You know, they're like, you know, we do consults with people, and they're like, oh, well, I have like, you know, this thing going on with my ankle, let's say. And like, oh, well, what happened? Well, 20 years ago, I sprained it. Like 20 years ago, like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And there's not like an actual like fracture or anything in it currently. They just, they never did anything, the right stuff to rehab it and make it strong again. But it's like, but now their brain is telling them, oh, my ankle's weak because I sprained it 20 years ago. It's like, well, but it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how, like, I mean, there's a lot more deeper stuff with the neurological side, but I think, again, it goes back to, like, kind of how you see yourself, how you view yourself. And if I tell myself I'm not fit, if I tell myself I'm unathletic, I'm not strong, oh, I'm just like, I shouldn't lift weights. Oh, I don't want a lot of muscle. Losing weight's hard for me. My family's just big people, or whatever, you know, whatever people say like that, right? Like, oh, I have bad genetics. That's what I'm getting at. Why would your body respond in a way that's going to present differently than what you already told it?
Right.
If you tell yourself you're bad at math, you know how hard it's going to be for you to get good at math? And I'm not saying you necessarily need to be like delusional and lie to yourself, but you need to start, you know, noticing those things and start turning into like, not what you're limited at, but opportunities for growth.
Yeah.
And this isn't just me like preaching to people. It's like, this is the same stuff I try to remind myself, that I try to catch myself at, of like hearing the like, oh, I'm just not like a good speaker, but turn it into, how can I improve at speaking, right? What are things that I do well? How do I feel the best when I'm speaking about, like this? It's easy for me because I'm passionate about these topics,
Yeah.
right? So how can I apply that to other areas? But yeah, it's like, it's just
Literally,
belief, identity, all that stuff.
when I was trying to learn a little bit about square one from you, you even made the statement of, the more, like the guys told you, the more you implement and practice it, the better you'll get at it.
Yeah.
So I got backlash recently for a similar idea, and then someone else they made a different statement and framed it a different way, and then it all kind of made sense. But I was just making a post, like, the main point of it was trying to stress to people, you don't have to live with pain. You don't have to, like, live in fear of pain, those types of things. And whether I was making a claim or whether I was just being confident in myself, because, and yes, what I've done in terms of through ATG practices, rope flow, that kind of thing, for myself, and not waking up, other than like a workout beating the crap out of me and me feeling muscular sore, I don't wake up with hip stiffness or, like, I've had hip low back issues, all that kind of stuff. I don't wake up with that anymore. And like, that's kind of like where I've wanted to take other people. I want to show them or lead them down a path of, that doesn't have to be the norm.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, and everyone on the internet is going to fight you on whatever you say, and they're going to act like you made a claim that I was just making a general statement. Someone made a comment that I mentioned different things: knees, hips,
Yeah.
low back, shoulders, neck.
Or they're saying that rope flow doesn't
They're
fix
like-
any of that?
They're
or
like,
something?
oh, that rope isn't going to fix your
Yeah.
shoulder issue. And I'm just like, I didn't claim that specifically. I just claimed help you feel better,
Yeah.
pain, stiffness, all those things. But then another guy who, he's actually hosting the WEC method thing at the end of this month. I think he's in South Carolina.
Where's that at?
They're doing it in Charleston,
Oh. What's the date?
like the last weekend of the month. But he made the statement in a post of his own where it's like, sometimes you have to have this almost radical mindset of, this can be accomplished. This can happen.
Like
this
it's possible.
This is possible.
Yeah.
Or maybe you will never get there, because if you constantly have this little voice in your head, which, the way Andy Frisella talks about it is boss voice and, the opposite of that.
Well, yeah, like that guy saying that's not going to fix your shoulder. It's like, if he said that about anything, right? Like whether it's like actual physical therapy or something, and he's like, oh, well, that's just not, my shoulder's just bad. His shoulder's not going to magically get better, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing as like, if I keep telling myself I'm bad with money, well, I'm probably going to have bad habits then, and I'm not going to do the things to fix those habits.
Yeah.
If I tell myself my shoulder's bad, I'm probably going to treat it in a way that keeps it bad, because I'm not going to move it in the ways that's going to open it up and get it stronger, right?
It all goes back to the idea of setting yourself up for success, whether it's success in a diet plan, new habits, a training regimen, a whatever. Like, just, you have to not trick your mind, but change your mind. You have to develop a new way of thinking, new mindset, all those things. And it's the same. That's just kind of where the thought thing is very real, because we're noticing and learning, you learned more than I did, about how your brain can, through that threat response, basically tell you or signal actual pain to an area,
Yeah.
a knee, you know,
I mean,
shoulder or whatever.
I have a quick story about that too. Just like the limiting stuff of like this was like I still remember this is like at the time I think my max front squat was like 275, something around there. And eventually I got up to being able to do like 350 within that same like year. And it all started because I was working out next to a friend who I trusted, like another fellow trainer who I trusted a lot. And I was doing just like sets of 3. And like to me, like I did the first one, I was like, oh, that didn't feel great. Right? It like felt like, I don't know if like anybody's ever done front squats. Sometimes like when it gets heavy, it feels like your back's about to like cave in kind of because you're trying to stay upright and all the like the internal pressure. And I look at him afterwards, like I trusted him like an older brother and was just like, how'd that look? And he's like, that looked good. And he's like, go up. And I'm like, all right. So I added, 10 pounds or something. And I was like, oh, that didn't feel great either. And I looked at him again. He's like, that looked good. He's like, it moved well. Like, keep going up. And I kept going. And I did this like over and over. And I ended up going like 30 pounds past like what my max was. And what's funny is like at a certain set, I can't remember where it was, but it went from being like that, like, oh, this is hard. Like I don't know if I can do like another rep to then all of a sudden my body was just like, we got it. And then eventually it got hard because I did actually start hitting my actual strength limit threshold. But it was just like, I couldn't give myself the belief and confidence in the moment to trust that I could do more weight. But somebody else there who I trusted, who believed in me, who I knew wasn't going to BS me and tell me, oh, like sometimes people are like, oh yeah, that was good. Yeah. And then when it's not, like, he was like, no, like that. He was like, and then in the moment, and then that led to then me being like, with that specific movement and then others of being like, oh, maybe I do have more here. And I started like testing myself in other ways. But I wouldn't have done that if that belief didn't change in that moment, right? I probably would have kept being conservative and being like, oh, well, I'm just not that strong with this, right? And then that number shot, like I said, it was like probably within like 5-6 months, I think I hit 350 after that. And I remember I made a post, there was in a caption somewhere on Instagram where I was like, because my deadlift shot up by like 50 pounds, I think. And this is somebody who's had been working out hard for over 10 years at that point. And I remember in the post I said, I don't feel like I've added any new strength there. I've just discovered strength that was there the whole time, right? Because it really didn't feel like I was that much stronger. I was just like, oh, I just have access to stuff that was there. And I wasn't doing anything crazy different other than pushing myself a bit harder. I wasn't on some crazy supplement. It was just literally just having that belief of like, oh yeah, there's more in me than I realized.
Well, how important do you think that is for coaches, trainers, whoever, to instill that type of system into their clients?
I think it's everything, right? Like what if
you just
we're
come
not
in and
just
you're constantly telling your person like they feel something, so it's like, oh, well, we'll just chill on that today. Because I found that most of the time when I'm feeling something, moving around that area, not navigating around it, but moving, not maybe through the
getting like the blood flow and everything, yeah. I mean, you have to be careful every client's different. Some are more apprehensive and you don't want to, and with the nervous system, you never know when it's just going to like react poor. So like sometimes you got to kind of trick them into it a little bit with a warm up.
What if it's a client that has that type of that's their type of personality where they're...
Yeah, so I mean, like, I think, like, what I mean by trick them is like, all right, how do I work the muscles I want to work without necessarily, if they're like, oh, it like hurts to squat down. I'm like, okay, like, how do we still work their legs a little bit? And then, eventually, maybe midway through the session, you keep asking, you keep checking in, like, how are things feeling? Da, da, da. And then, you get that buy-in where they're like, oh, I'm actually feeling a lot better. Things are moving well. And they're like, oh, well, let's see you squat now, And, with square one or rope flow and like all these different things, we have more direct ways to help achieve that now too, which helps. But yeah, I mean, and part of the reason they're seeing us is like they trust us, and it's like to give them that reassurance. It's like, hey, like I'm not gonna have you do anything that I don't think you can do, right? And yeah, so when they're coming in and they're already in sort of pain or whatever, I mean, I want to show them like, hey, we can still get a solid workout in. We don't need to stretch for an hour. Stretching's not stretching's good, whatever, but it's not getting you closer to your goal of getting stronger and being in better shape. It's more of like a therapeutic thing.
I've kind of found that it feels good at times, the stretching part, and it can, make you feel a little bit looser or whatever, but like the thing that has helped me the most to actually get loose, maybe quicker, and stay loose longer is like those movements.
Yeah, I mean, like yesterday, I was not feeling great physically, mentally. I mean, not like terrible in the grand scheme of things, but like, I mean, I definitely didn't feel like if I had a whoop, I'm sure my score was like low, no higher than 20, right? Like recovery score or whatever. And I did the class workout on my own at CrossFit, which was maxing out your squat, strict press, and deadlift. And I ended up hitting over 90% on my squat. Deadlift, the most I've deadlifted in a few months, but I mean, my deadlift's not what it used to be. But I still haven't lifted that weight off the ground in a while, or tried to. And yeah, and it's just like, but if I would have just gone based off of just like, well, I'm feeling this way, so I should take it easy, then I wouldn't have. No, like I drank my caffeine, I put on music that like hyped me up, and I was like, we're just gonna see what happens, with like no expectations. And obviously that's different than if somebody's in actual pain, and there's nuance to this, but it's like that line, like, don't let what you can't do get in the way of what you can do. And you're always, and I tell my clients this, I'm like, you're better off just like starting, like taking that step into your workout, because you're probably going to do more than what you would have done otherwise.
Yep.
And if worst case, it is something where you're just like, I'm just in pain every which way I move, that's different, right? Yeah. But if it's just like, well, this, when I extend my knee, it hurts. Okay, then just don't do that and do something else. Focus on your upper body, whatever. And then like you said, once you get the blood flowing, endorphins, like you're probably gonna feel a lot better. And that I try to like make a point at the end of those types of sessions where I'm like, how you feel? Oh, pretty good. I was like, you feel better than if you wouldn't have come in here?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm like, yeah. So we should probably do this more often than not, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been sitting all, like, they come in after work, I've been sitting all day, I'm stiff and blah, blah. And then they get done, I'm like, do you feel better than when you walked in here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably means that when you get done at work all day, you should at a minimum get up and walk. Like not just like a 5-minute walk, like an intentional, hey, like let's get the heart rate up for 20 minutes or more.
Like Dr. Drew doesn't, when he's not with me, which, he's been training with me remotely for a while now. But
yeah.
When he was around and training in person, he was doing it in the mornings, but then when he's not seeing me, he goes after work. And I think that kind of just like, it can also be like a way to just decompress after a long day.
Well, I think people tell themselves sometimes, they're like, oh, I don't have the energy for this, and they look at it as like, working out is extra stress in the same way as that like working is or can be, when it's like, no, like the working out, the movement is to make you feel better. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Just like eating well for performance as I describe it, right? It's like, that's not a drag because you're not eating the stuff that you want to eat. It's like, no, this is to make you feel better after eating it. If the stuff that you're currently eating is making you feel worse, probably shouldn't be eating that.
Yeah.
Right?
Like ice cream sounds good, but then you eat it and you're like, oh.
Yeah, you feel sluggish.
Yeah.
You get a sugar hangover or whatever. Like, yeah. And I love that stuff and I eat it from time to time, but I'm also aware enough to be like, if I don't have, follow like an 80-20 type rule thing, I'm going to be awful. Every single time I go to a family gathering and the options are not stuff that I would normally eat, like I feel like crap for the next at least 24 hours.
Well, it's good. Like, people can hear that trainers and coaches and people who are super into fitness struggle with the things that everybody thinks about, but the difference is
Well, I mean, to bring it back to
we
the
take the
beginning,
choice,
that's
or
why
we
the
make the
leading by
choice to
example
act.
is important.
Yeah.
Because like when I relate to you, like, oh yeah, like I also, eat these things from time to time, or can struggle with, whether it's finding time or diet. It's like, but I don't let that like completely derail me. Like the longest break I've taken from working out in the past 10 years is maybe a week. I can't really think of a time where I've taken off longer. And that was also dealing with multiple injuries over the years.
It can be good for you to take a break.
Well, yeah, but what I mean is like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever take a break, but like, we always get back to it, like within a reasonable amount of time, right? Like sometimes everybody does, like you've been pushing hard, you need that extended break, sure, but like, once you start working out, like it shouldn't just be like I'm working out to get ready for a wedding or because I got a beach trip or whatever. It's like, no, this is a lifelong endeavor. Like as long as you have joints and a beating heart, you should be working out.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what those things need.
So just a few more questions. So just like we talked about, basically using Nike's slogan of just do it. Dr. Drew said just start, right?
Yeah.
So the fascinating part with most people who are high achievers, they track every single metric when it comes to their business, their job, whatever. If they run a business, if they're whatever person, they have to know those types of things because of whether it's asking for a raise or a promotion or whatever, but then they completely guess when it comes to their physical health. You use a 6-test foundational assessment. Is it 6 pieces?
Yeah, it's for
6
like
parts?
for like the online program I
Yeah.
have is like
So-
basically like a easy self-assessment.
But you're giving people like an honest starting point with that.
Yeah.
So why do you think that so many successful people, when it comes to their jobs, actively avoid confronting their physical reality?
Like
Why do they like? They could just take what they're doing at work or in their own business and implement it into their health.
Oh, you mean like if
physical
you're running
self?
like business analytics or whatever and like stuff like that to see where your gaps are, why don't they just do a similar self-assessment for their bodies and health? I mean, I think because it's kind of like the reverse of me. It's like I'm very comfortable. I've been very comfortable in the gym since I was a teenager and wanting to learn about this stuff and knowing a lot about it, so it makes it easy. When it comes to like the business end, I struggle with that stuff because I don't know a lot of the terminology and I don't know necessarily how to structure things all the time, or I get overwhelmed feeling like there's so many things I have to do and where do I start? And yeah, so I think it's just like the inverse of that is like they feel, they learned a lot about business and have a lot of wisdom there. Maybe they went to school for it or they learned from a mentor or something or from a company that they worked at. And then when it comes to fitness, fitness is obviously like this huge all-encompassing term, and everybody's idea of it is different. Everyone's idea of good fitness is different, even from trainers. I mean, I have debates with other coaches all the time of like, well, what's important? Should you be able to do this? Should you be able to do that? Like, is one better than the other? And so they look at it like, they see, maybe they're trying to like look stuff up online and they see posts and it's like, well, this guy's telling me I need to eat this. This guy's telling me I need to eat carnivore. This guy's telling me carnivore is bad for me. This one's telling me, oh, this is healthy products, protein bars or whatever to eat. The other one says this has that same protein bar has bad ingredients. And not to mention just like what type of workouts to do. And like, oh, this one says I need to do zone 2. This one says and it's like overwhelming. And there's so many options. Like you can't, what's the thing? I think Hermosi said this, something like anxiety is having too many options to choose from. Something like that, paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And something like being depressed or sad is not having enough options. Something along those lines. I'm probably butchering it. But
Yeah.
anyways, so it makes them anxious and they don't know where to start. And like about Dr. Drew saying like you just got to start. It's like if we can just give them one starting point. So that's kind of like why I have that foundational test. Is kind of like it goes along with like the whole program I built, but also is just like a way to show people like, hey, like I'm at least giving you like something simple you can do. You can get it done in the runs. Mile run's optional, but if you do the mile run, I mean, the whole thing's probably like 20 minutes total, right? Depending on how fast your mile is. Of like, all right, now you know, like there's set standards within that for your age group, for your gender. So you have some sort of idea of like, all right, this is where I stand. According to like somebody, hopefully that they trust standards of what they think they should be capable of at that age.
Yeah.
Not what's good for the average person, but like, hey, if you want to have a strong, capable body, you know, like these standards of upper body, lower body strength, core strength, endurance. And then that way it gives you some clarity. At least if you see, like one of the things is an isometric push-up hold. So just kind of holding 90-degree bend here. And if they see like, oh, wow, I can only hold that for 10 seconds. Well, it's going to be eye-opening to them. And they're probably like, well, I probably need to work on my upper body strength. If even the idea of running a mile to them is scary, like I can't run for a mile straight, I'm like, all right, we should probably work on our cardio a bit. We should probably build that up, right? And at least it narrows it down instead of them getting caught in the weeds if everybody wants to be all technical all the time, do zone 2 workouts for this amount of time. And it's just like everything's like optimize this and whatever. It's like you just need to move. And if we can simplify that for people of like, hey, 6 foundational movement patterns.
Is that kind of why you went that route?
Yeah.
Because of those?
It's just like, because you hear the same stuff from people. They're just like our own clients that we've been working with for a while. I'm sure yours come to you like, hey, I read this article. I saw this thing. What do you think about this? And I used to be really bad about like, I'll just like roll my eyes. I'm like, oh, here we go again. And I try to like stop myself now because it's like, obviously we're trying to teach them our philosophies, but then you got like 1,000 other creators and influencers on there that they're like, that sound like they know what they're talking about, and some do, but some don't. Some are just trying to get views and reactions. Yeah. And it's like, now I got to tell them, because now they think I need to do this thing. Somewhat recently, like one of my clients is just like, oh, they said like jumping was really good, and I should jump for do jump rope for like 5 to 10 minutes straight. And I'm like, now I got to explain to her how like you don't necessarily you don't have the capacity to just start jumping for 5 to 10 minutes straight, right? Because you don't do that. Like maybe you should do like like maybe do like 10 or 30 seconds or so at a time, right? And like kind of gradually build that up. And then they get pulled in like another direction the next day, where it's just like, oh, now this person says that, you know, I should be doing this instead. Yeah,
Brooklyn used to have people come to her all the time and be like, so-and-so said this, you know, she's in a bigger gym. She has a lot of equipment and stuff. Yeah. And it's like, I watched so-and-so and they said this exercise is like bad. And it's like, well, what's bad about it?
Yeah, you know, like you should never do this. I'm like, okay, like, I mean.
It's like, oh, we should do this way instead of that way. And it's like, well, I think about people with different body types, and it's like, well, I have, and I can't just trick my brain into saying I have better ankle mobility or hip mobility.
Right.
Right? I'll elevate my heels on a slant board, which follows the principles of what I've learned recently with ATG, and I can keep my torso like straight up and down. I put somebody else who can't squat normal, regular, flat ground, with bad ankle and hip mobility, I tell them to squat on the slant board.
Yeah.
Well, it looks completely different than I do.
Right.
So everything's going to be a little bit different.
I mean, that's the other thing is too, is like, I mean, that's why you go to like a professional that's like working with you, ideally, if you can afford it. Because that person that's making that quick 1 minute post about these exercises are bad or you should do this versus that, they don't know, they're not looking at your anatomy. They don't know your exercise history. They don't know your current volume of training and whatever. So like a lot of things are good in theory, and that's why, again, leading by example, like I'm doing these things. I'm testing my body in these different ways. So I have an idea of like what it takes, like doing CrossFit, it exposes me to a lot of different variables on a regular basis. So when somebody comes to me and says, this person says that I should be jumping X amount, I'm like, well, I jump a lot in CrossFit. And I think about how that affects my knees, my ankles, my hips, and like what I've had to do to be able to handle that. And this person who's not jumping at all is going to try and start, jumping up and down, like their ankles, their feet, their knees, maybe. They might not even know how to jump correctly, right? All these things are going to be affected. And that's why you can't just like if you don't have a base of knowledge about this stuff and you're just blindly following these things, that'd be me like if I start following investing pages and this guy's like, this is the index you want to invest in. These are the stock tips. And I don't know anything about the stock market and how it works. I'm probably going to end up losing money, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'm going to be like, oh, well, investing just doesn't work for me. And that same person, right, who's like, oh, I read this article that said that I need to do this, and then they get hurt, and they're like, oh, well, this workout just didn't work for me. It's the same idea.
Yeah. So what would you say, because everyone's trying to teach, well, not everyone.
Lots of folks.
A lot of people are trying to say, this is optimal, but for the person who's doing zero and they see something like that, what really is, for someone who's not doing anything, whether they used to be that high school, college athlete that kind of became lazy, or maybe lazy is not the right word, maybe
distracted.
Yeah, distracted by things in life, using busyness as an excuse or whatever. What do you actually think? I know what my opinion is. What's your thoughts on what actually is most optimal for that person?
Well, I mean, like the best workout program is the one that you actually follow. Like I can write out like the most perfectly, undulating whatever program with percentages based on maxes and all this stuff, and cardio that's tied to your heart rate zones and all these progressions. But if somebody, and like not necessarily I've written programs that in depth, sure, but they're out there, but like when I've written out like a month long a program for a client, I'm like, okay, this is gonna work out pretty great. We're gonna we're starting off, we're doing back squats, whatever, and we're gonna build to this by the end of it. And then they start missing workouts. That throws off the whole progression. Like now all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, you missed 2 out of the 4 squat days, so you didn't get that volume in, right? You missed a core workout here, you missed your cardio workout there. But like if they just did a little bit, right? Like if they followed it, if it wasn't necessarily, or sometimes people don't follow stuff because they don't like something. For instance, like, I'm just not enjoying those workouts. So I'd rather somebody enjoy the workouts they're doing that allows them to be more consistent with it than, they do the best workout they can once a week. Like that doesn't do anything, right? So it's like what's optimal for somebody starting off is like just doing it consistently. We'll worry about, tightening stuff up as we go, as it becomes a habit. Yeah. But if you don't have that base, there's nothing to optimize. Right? You optimize something that's already running and functioning. If it's not functioning,
yeah, good,
then it doesn't matter.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. that it?
Well, we already kind of talked about what you, just to kind of like wind everything down. I was just going to say, you know, how we already talked about that the extra mile is kind of built on the idea that growing and becoming a better version of yourself. They don't always happen in like, yes, there's required work, but sometimes it is going that extra mile that takes it to the next level. You already kind of explained how that is working in your own physical training and mental development and things like that. So like, I guess with you just getting level 1 and level 2 certified through the Square One system, you still are enjoying and grinding through some CrossFit stuff. You're adding in some athletic things. You're doing like monthly challenges for yourself, you know, like, what was it, pull-ups first, now it's kettlebell swings. It's just like doing something, you know, you're almost like setting a standard for yourself to uphold. Like what's next for the physical training and mental development of TJ Mentis? It doesn't have to be anything extensive.
Yeah.
Just
Well, I mean, on the mental side, it's just kind of like applying what I do with fitness and I just do it more with my business, like as far as like the consistency and, you know, following an actual plan of business development instead of just kind of like winging it like I've been doing for a lot of the time. I mean, that's probably the biggest gap I would say that I need to improve upon. I mean, obviously, you still want to learn new methods for your training. There's definitely some stuff that I'm interested in that I want to dive into more. Like I was kind of apprehensive of the David Weck stuff, but like the more I see it be applied, I'm like, okay, like and the more I learn about other stuff, I see how like I'm kind of connecting the dots, and I'd like to dive into his stuff more. So that's from that end, and then fitness-wise, I mean, I did like a little mini. See, this is what's great about CrossFit. Not to be like, you know, completely drinking the Kool-Aid here, but it gets bashed on a lot. And as somebody who actually does it, like I feel a need to stand up for it because I've been doing it for 8 years now, and I don't see myself stopping at any point. I haven't found a comprehensive fitness method that's as good as it, personally. Like for myself, I'm not saying I would take clients through it, but that's more just because of their lifestyles. But anyways, it exposes me to lots, like I said, lots of different tests all the time, whether it's lifting as heavy as I can, lifting as heavy as I can under fatigue or for lots of reps. You have to run, you have to be able to do gymnastics. I mean, you don't have to, but like if you're trying to get as good as you can with it, like you're continually testing your abilities in that way. And so anyways, one of the things they did, it was like they did like kind of combine type stuff, or like my training program I followed like did that because they were trying to prepare people for like the higher level of competition this might show up. So I did like, you know, broad jump, vertical jump, 40-yard dash, and agility drill, just to kind of see, right? And I was
like a shuttle or
just like down, back, down, back, down, like it like got farther. And recording myself and seeing how slow I look on camera and like unathletic I look to me, like I'm like, I need to work on that. Like it's not good enough just to be able to lift weights and just be able to do these CrossFit moves, right? Like the muscle ups and things and walking on my hands, like that's great. But if I can't move with my legs quickly and efficiently, then what's the point of all this, right? And it's definitely something that I haven't prioritized in my programming. So physically, that's what I want to work on more, is like getting that athleticism back. And as I'm finding out too, I tweaked my hamstring trying to run, doing a flying 10 a couple weeks ago. So I got the hamstring taken care of. I was working with a friend. we were kind of working with the square one stuff on each other, which sounds weird. But he cleared out my hamstring, which is great. I didn't feel it anymore. We were working on like kind of like takeoffs, like into like a sprint, like the first like 3-4 steps. And then once that cleared, I was like, oh, I can like push again. And I pushed and then tweaked my groin. Groin feels better now. But like, so I'm uncovering that I have these other compensation things that I've been ignoring, that I've been avoiding because it's been easier to do the stuff I'm comfortable with.
Sure.
And it all goes back to that leading by example. So like if I'm just telling people like, oh, you need to do this, we need to get rid of your compensations. But it's like, well, what am I doing to fix this stuff? I'm telling people, oh, we need to be doing as much as possible. Okay, I can't just like ignore not just running, but like the sprinting side of it.
Yeah.
Like how important, like if I needed to, like if something happened here, a tree falls on the house and I need to get up quickly and move, like, can I? Right? And so, yeah, that's the next thing is like, okay, let's circle back to stuff that I've been ignoring and try to not just maintain, but build up as much athleticism in me in other ways than what I'm doing in regular workouts. Because I mean, that would be like like a long-term goal, right? Is being an example is like when I'm 40, I want to be faster at 40 than I was at 16. I don't know if it's possible necessarily, but like I'm going to try. And I know I wasn't fast at 16. I ran a 5.140. So I don't see why, knowing what I know now, being able to work on better mechanics, clearing out compensations, getting stronger. I'm definitely more powerful now than I was then.
Yeah.
So that's the next step. Is not just be good at CrossFit, but like not just be a good CrossFit athlete, be a good athlete in general. That was my thinking.
Yeah, I got you. So this will kind of be a two-part question, but so where can anyone who's watching, listening, whatever, find out more about TJ, what he offers, the foundation assessment, and then like that way they can kind of give themselves a starting point of this measuring of what they're truly capable
of? Yeah, so Instagram is where I post the most, TJ Mentis 42. At some point I gotta change that if I can.
Yeah, you can.
And then my website is unboundperformanceclt.com. That's what has like all where the actual foundation program, I'm calling it, on there with the assessment. Assessment's simple. It's body weight squats in a minute, isometric push-up hold, hollow hold, optional mile run. I think one might be a Superman hold. Oh, and a dead hang.
Oh, those sound good.
I think Superman hold. I could be wrong on that. I gotta.
Yeah, like things that are actually, even though they don't always sound like, oh, when am I ever gonna like be hanging from something, or when am I ever gonna be in like this Superman or push-up hold position? It's like, well, they're actually testing the parts of your body that need to hold up, like the hang. If you fall, can you grab onto something and hold on? If like, can your body hold up from doing a lot of bending and twisting and all those things? Like, that's what more of these tests are all about.
It's not Superman. It's burpees in a minute. I don't know how I forgot that. I've also been making a lot of programs recently in general, so
Sure.
No so big deal, my brain.
But same idea. Like,
well, yeah. Well, also like,
can you get up if you do fall? Can you get up off the ground quick enough to get away from if there's danger, or just different things?
Yeah. Well, also like, I mean,
Everything is
physically
about life.
being able to do those things, but also like neurologically, like, does your body allow you to like hold and contract those muscles for that long, right? Like, because that's not even just like a strength thing. That's also just like can you activate?
There's a lot of like parts in that. So you said Unbound Performance?
Unboundperformanceclt.com, and then Instagram, TJ Mentis 42. I have a separate Instagram for the bit, but I honestly haven't been working on that. So on my Instagram, you can see lots of posts of me working out, but then also recently I've been trying to share more like informational stuff about like kind of similar stuff we talked about here, my philosophies towards I'm trying to target more 40-plus-year-old men who have, like, they've built up their businesses, or their wealth, their life, their families, right? They're in a good spot, but now they've realized, kind of like what we talked about, maybe they were once athletic and now they're not anymore. Their body's slowly deteriorating, and they're just starting to notice that things are aching in a way they didn't used to. Um, their energy's lower. They're not recovering like they used to, or maybe, like, not necessarily that they used to be, an athlete or in shape or whatever before. Now they're not. Maybe they just never were. Maybe they've never known what it's like to be strong, and they're realizing, like, I've spent all this time, again, working on this stuff and building this life, but it's like the one thing that's missing is their health and fitness. It's not like all the other stuff is here and then the health is down here. It's like, well, that doesn't, it's not in alignment, right? And so I want to help those guys out, because if I can help create better, husbands or physically more fit husbands and fathers, I mean, I feel like that, they're going to be able to lead their families better, raise their children better, and just, we create more examples of what strong, fit men are, and I think the world just benefits as a whole, not to get too sappy.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about this while we were talking earlier, and it was like, what is financial freedom if you don't have physical freedom? It's kind of like...
I mean, if you don't have physical freedom, you don't have any freedom.
Right.
If I'm bound to a wheelchair, I mean, yes, like, Stephen Hawking still created, like, a decent life for himself,
Sure,
but it's like, if you're bound to something, that's kind of where I wasn't doing that intentionally, but, like, that was my thought process with the name of my company, Unbound Performance Coaching, is that I want people to live free of as many limitations as possible.
Yeah. Perfect. Cool. All right. Well, we'll link TJ's stuff down in the show notes, and if you're here, leave a comment, ask a question. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cool.
You